next we'll do Back to Black, which is the Amy Winehouse film. I'll start, Pete, and then because I kind of want to hear you rebuttal what I say a little bit. And so I knew almost next to nothing about Amy Winehouse besides the fact that I knew she was no longer living when this movie took place. I knew she died young.
Very good, Paul.
I only really knew one song, which was the Rehab song. So I kind of came into this movie very blind and watching it just like kind of a regular movie as opposed to like a biopic where you're maybe hoping to connect certain aspects of it. But I thought the movie moved pretty well in the beginning. The middle of it, I thought I kind of was wondering where it was going to go, and it just, I think it slightly dropped off. But then I thought the ending picked up again. But yeah, overall, I thought it was a interesting film. I enjoyed it. Some of the music actually I liked. Again, never heard before. Uh, I was talking with my buddy Mike because he's like, "Have you've not heard any of these songs?" I was like, "I've only heard one." I was like, "Well, what were you doing around that time?" And I think that that time I was just working a ton. I really that was like when I wasn't listening to pop music anymore.
Yeah.
Music in general, really, it was either like scores. I was listening to a lot of like audiobooks, stuff like that. I was kind of in that transition phase of listen to audiobooks and stuff like that, as opposed to like the radio or anything like that. So that's maybe why I missed the Amy Winehouse, you know, experience. But I thought again, for not knowing a lot of it, that I found it entertaining. I think where I would put it in terms of like musical biopics is I'd probably put it above Elton John. I think I enjoyed this one a little bit more than the Elton
And
John.
Rocket Man,
Yeah. And then I'd probably put it below Bohemian Rhapsody. Uh,
for
uh,
sure. Yeah, this doesn't come close to Bohemian Rhapsody, but that's not to say it's not a really good film.
right. But that's kind of where I'd put it. Probably again, I probably could put it closer to the Bohemian Rhapsody. I didn't really like Rocket Man. I like Elton John. I don't know. The story didn't do much for me, I
And
guess.
what's his name was phenomenal, but yeah, I mean, yeah, but this isn't a Rocket Man review. I'd go on forever.
Yeah, this is not that.
This is I knew Amy Winehouse for sure. A lot of people just know her for her drug abuse and for that song for sure. I'd seen the documentary that they put out, I think it was last year, which was excellent. And it really showed a lot of her and what she did and what she was going through and her music, and it really spotlighted everything. And I only mention that because this girl, what's her name? Marisa Abela, who plays Amy, is awesome. Like she just came in and like
That was
how do
her
you
voice, right?
yeah, I mean, how do you play that role and do it so well?
Yeah.
I was really blown away by her performance. I thought that she did Amy justice with her performance and the music and uh I didn't really find moments of slowing down.
I'm saying the slightest. Like
Yeah,
it was,
yeah, yeah. But I mean, it is weird. Like, how do I how do I say this without spoiling? Well, I guess there's no spoiling the movie, I guess. I guess my only thing is that, with biopics, this is kind of in the same vein as like Bohemian Rhapsody in a way because as opposed to like to The Doors, where you see Jim Morrison technically die. You didn't really see Freddie Mercury die, and you don't really see. They sort of stopped the movie before, and then they put up
yeah.
the the thing that says that she passed on such and such day or whatever. I I was almost in a really odd way, almost looking forward in some creepy, just awful way to seeing what their interpretation of how she died would
Yeah,
have
maybe.
played out on camera, even though like who wants to watch somebody die really?
Well,
But
maybe there was no story to it. Maybe I think she might have died in her sleep or something, right?
yeah, maybe there's just nothing to it. But yeah, I don't know. It's just weird to have a biopic without, well, I don't know. It's weird without a death scene, I guess. But yeah, it's a phenomenally well acted movie. And yeah, I would go see that one for sure.
Well,
Again.
and to be clear again, because I'm not 100% on this, and I didn't really do any research after, but she died more. I mean, it was her issues was more alcohol, not drugs, right? I mean, I know she did drugs, but
No, she was heavy into drugs, like heavy, like the hard stuff, like heroin. Like she was in all of it, and
they just showed her more drinking in the movie. That's why I was asking.
she was in and out of the rehab. I know they made her husband, they made him be more the drug addict. And that may be almost like a walk the line where, Johnny Cash said, "Look, you can make a movie about me, but and you could show me being the worst person in the world, but you make my wife look like an angel, or you don't get the rights to my movie." And so that's why Reese Witherspoon plays this like, perfect little character. But meanwhile, in real life, Johnny Cash's wife was almost probably just as bad as Johnny Cash was.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe it was a thing with the Amy estate where they said, look, don't make her be a drug addict technically. At least let's not see it. Make the husband, however, because he's the one who.
I mean, even him, I thought the alcohol was to me more portrayed as the evil here.
Sure. I mean,
As
but you
opposed-
combine both of them for that prolonged amount of time and that heavy, then it's bound to do something to you.
Yeah, for sure. And ultimately, she died of alcohol poisoning. So
Yeah.
maybe that's just also like the
It's
director.
a good one. That it was a good week so far.